Six at Start was originally a digital agency. We did campaigns, marketing campaigns, online campaigns for clients like Disney, Channel 4, the BBC, Microsoft, and so on. But I think like a lot of creatives, what we really wanted to do was to go and create our own brand, our own IP, and see where we could go with that. And I personally really wanted to see if we could make a game that would make getting fit more fun. Because when I started running at university, I found it really painful and boring. I don't know whether that's the case for a lot of you, but it seemed like a problem that needed solving. And so we decided to focus on running. Running is the world's most popular form of exercise. There's hundreds of millions of people who regularly run every week. A lot of people obviously use utilities like Strava, Nike Plus, Runkeeper, Runtastic, all these sorts of things. And these are really useful applications. I used Runkeeper a lot to track how fast and how far I ran. But these applications didn't make running any more fun. I mean, they tell you how far you've run, and they show you a map, but they don't actually change the experience of running. And so we aren't the first company to try and make running or exercise more interesting. One of the most popular fitness games that's been released in recent years has been Wii Fit. You might remember this. She does. She's very happy. And this was a game made by Nintendo, and it sold, I think, 10 million copies, and it was a way to get people more fit at home. And if you broaden things out, you have things like Dance Dance Revolution. This guy is really dancing hard. There's a fan over there. He's working up a sweat. These are games that make people exercise and make people burn calories. And so we wanted to see, OK, how can we make running more fun? And we came up with the idea called Zombies Run. And this is an augmented reality, audio-based smartphone application. So the way it works is you get your phone, and you put it on your arm or in your pocket, and you put your headphones in, and you go for a run outside. So physically, you're running. You can't do it on your sofa. You have to move. You can also do it on your treadmill. And we track your location using GPS or using the step tracker in the phone. And as you run, we mix together a story and gameplay and music. So you will be put into the role of a survivor after a zombie apocalypse, and you need to run to escape zombies and collect supplies and to build up your base. And each run is a mission. So in one mission, you might hear that there's a lost child being abandoned outside the base, 3 kilometers away, and you need to run to go and collect them. And you are becoming the hero in the story. And if you don't run, then the fictional child is going to die. Also, while you're running, you will get chased by zombies. You'll hear them behind you. And if you don't speed up in time, you won't die, because it's just a game. But you will lose some of the supplies that you collected. So it's a way to motivate people to exercise and to have more fun. And so it's a pretty interesting concept. And what we wanted to do is we really wanted to have it appeal to as many people as possible. Now, one of the things that you'll often hear when coming up with a new application idea or a new concept is you really need to kind of hone in on the audience. And I think that's true. At the same time, that doesn't mean that there aren't applications or games that can address everyone. And so we really wanted Zombies Run to appeal to both beginners and pros. So to people who had never really run before, whom for walking for 10 minutes would be quite a bit of exercise. But we also wanted to appeal to people who did 6 marathons a year. And so we needed something that would scale, that wasn't going to punish people who can't run fast enough, but also that would be fun and challenging for people who ran all the time. And so one way we did that is we developed the app so that when you get chased by these zombies behind you, you don't need to go and speed up to 10 kilometers an hour. It just asks you to increase your relative speed. So if you're playing the game and zombies chase you, you have to go and, if you're walking, you need to jog. If you're jogging, you need to run. If you're running, you need to sprint. And if you're sprinting, then you're probably dead. So it scales to your level of skill. That's the important thing about Zombies Run. And I think that's the important thing about a lot of fitness apps. It needs to be able to scale to the user's level of skill because everyone is different. The other important thing is that we recognized that this application, particularly for running, it couldn't use the phone's screen while you're running. Now, that might seem really obvious to you because when you're running, you can't be sort of running and looking at your screen because then you'll just run straight into a tree or you'll bump into someone. You've all heard about people playing Pokemon Go, and they're sort of walking along, and they walk into the road. The same thing, but worse for running. And of course, a lot of people, when they're running, they've got their phone on their arm or in their pocket. They don't want to be stopping and looking at a map all the time. And so that's why Zombies Run is an audio-based augmented reality experience. The main mode of interaction is through your headphones. And of course, most people already run with music, so it's not asking a lot for people to do that. And so again, this is really important for us because we didn't want to ask people to buy something new to play this game. And we didn't want to have a flashy app that looked really cool on your phone, but people wouldn't actually use. We wanted to fit around people's habits. So the other important thing related to that is that we wanted to address a wide audience as possible. And so with Zombies Run, you can run anytime, anywhere. What that means is it's quite different from traditional location-based games. So again, Pokemon Go is a location-based game. It is a game that is different if you play it in Mumbai or London or New York or in a village or in the countryside, right? Because if you play Pokemon Go in London, there's lots and lots of Pokestops. There's lots of points of interest for the game to play around. But if you play it where there's not really anything, then it's not going to be as fun a game to play because you can't play against other people. And so Zombies Run, we designed it so it doesn't matter where you live, you still get the same really fun experience. The really, really important thing, I think, for any kind of health or fitness habit application is that you can't make people change their habits too much, right? And so obviously, if people download a fitness app or if they go to a gym, they actually want to get fit. I'm not saying that you don't change their life. I'm just saying that there's a limit to what people are willing to put up with. And so, again, I'll talk about running. I don't know how many of you are runners, but I run very regularly, normally 3 or 4 times a week. And I always run the same 2 or 3 routes, right? It's really boring. I either run around the park or I run along the river. I do the same routes. And everyone I've spoken to says the same thing. People they're creatures of habit. They like doing the same thing. It's quite comfortable going along the same trail and knowing exactly how long it will take you. And I think one mistake that a lot of applications and games make is that they kind of get a bit crazy about the possibilities of GPS and the internet, and they say, well, if you're running this route, what about you run 200 meters in this direction to unlock this chest? Or you walk this direction to go and find a new secret. That sounds like it's really fun. It sounds like it's really interesting. But in reality, most runners don't want to do that. They have their 30-minute route, and they just want to keep on repeating that, but they want it to be more fun. So you've got to make sure that you don't try and force people to change everything that they're doing. They can change a little bit, but not too much. And so that's actually a mistake that I think a lot of really interesting games have made. This is a game called Turfly. And so this is a location-based game, came out a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. And the idea is that you run in the real world, and it will track your location, and you can claim these squares as you move around. And that's really interesting, but like I say, the thing is that most people just run the same route every single time. So after you've played this for like a week, like the screen never changes. You're just like looping around. And so you need to kind of keep things fresh. I mean, a lot of fitness apps have looked at gamification. I'm sure you've all heard about gamification, the idea of using game mechanics to motivate people in applications. I wore a Fitbit, and I have a Withing scale, and it would occasionally email me saying, hey, I've walked 200 meters in my life. Obviously, I've walked more than 200 kilometers in my life. And that's the length of the Suez Canal. That's interesting, but it's not motivating. That's a different thing, okay? Are you going to be motivated more to walk 500 kilometers so you get another email? I mean, it's nice to know, but it's not actually motivating. And then we have applications like Nike, which have used things like leaderboards. So Nike's brand, a lot of Nike's brand is about competition, not all of it, but a lot of it is about competition, about being the best, about performance and achievement. And so in their app, they have leaderboards. And so you can see this person is second, and they're competing against a person at the top and person below them. And leaderboards are really interesting for people who are motivated by competition and who want to be the best. But here's the thing, not everyone is actually motivated by competition. Because for every leaderboard, there's someone at the top who's really happy, and there's someone at the bottom who's pretty unhappy. And if you're at the bottom of a leaderboard and you're stuck there, or you're around the bottom, that's not motivating. That's just really upsetting. So you've got to consider the different impacts of the gamification modes that you use. And that's why we don't have a leaderboard in Zombies Run. We want it to be welcoming to everyone. We're not going to put people off who are starting out by showing them being worse than everyone else. So we also really wanted to design for long-term use. It's not interesting for us if someone buys the app or downloads the app and they play it for a month and that's it. I mean, we get money, that's great, but if we want people to get fitter and healthier, we need them to exercise regularly over a period of months or even years. And how do you do that? How do you get people to do something continuously, again and again, for months or years? Well, we think one really powerful way of doing that is through storytelling. You know, we know that people love watching soap operas, and they love watching TV, and they love watching shows like Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead, just to find out what happens in the next episode. And so that's what we did with Zombies Run. It's not just a game where you kind of run along and you hear a zombie behind you, because that would be interesting for like 2 runs. Instead, we have this really rich story that was made by our co-creator, Naomi Alderman. She's an award-winning literary author. And there's 250 episodes of this story. So that means that you could run 2 or 3 times a week for 2 years, and you would still have enough fresh story to accompany you on your runs every week. And so every single episode has a script that we go and record, and we have a stable of actors, and we make it really interesting to listen to. So that's Zombies Run. And I want to talk a little bit about, okay, well, it's really successful now, but like, how do we get there? So Zombies Run is a pretty weird idea. We originally started it on Kickstarter, and this was back in 2011. So Kickstarter was very new at this point. And the reason why we chose Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform where you can put up an idea and people can pledge towards the idea, and if you hit your target, then it gets made. I'm sure you all know about Kickstarter. The reason why we used Kickstarter is because Zombies Run was such a weird idea. Investors didn't actually want to put any money into it. They thought it was too risky. Like, why would people want to run away from zombies in the real world? So we put it on Kickstarter. We asked for a very small amount of money, just $12,500, kind of too small. And so then, after 31 days, we hit our goal, and we sort of went past that, and we hit $72,000 from 3,500 backers. And more importantly, we had 27,000 people who liked it on Facebook. And so because of this reaction, we knew that people really loved this idea, that people would pay money for it even though they hadn't even tried it out. And so we knew that we had a really strong concept. And it's important to say we didn't do any paid marketing or advertising. This was all organic, all word of mouth. And I'll talk a bit about why I think this worked. And so this, it really, even before the game came out, actually, we were on CNN, we were on the BBC, we were on NPR. Lots of people just loved the idea, loved talking about it. And we even had people making comics on social media, on Tumblr, on blogs, on Twitter, about the game. Players, even before the game actually came out, people were talking about, wow, this is a really exciting game. I can't wait for it to come out. This is the game that's going to get me to exercise. When it came out in March 2012, we sold lots of copies. It cost like $8 when it came out, so it's quite expensive application. It's free now. It's free to play with subscription. And so it did fantastically well. We're very happy with how it did. And it's still being refreshed right now. And so the reason why I think it's so successful, the first one is kind of pretty obvious. I think it's a really good idea. It's quite hard to come up with good ideas. I'll skip over that one. The second reason is it's highly distinctive, okay? It's not like you're running away from secret agents. It's not you're sort of running to save the president or whatever. You are running away from zombies. Some people don't like zombies. I get it. But it's something that's very memorable, and it's something that kind of sticks in your mind. And related to that, people really understood the idea very quickly and easily. In fact, if you just hear the title, Zombies Run, that's an app called Zombies Run, a fitness app called Zombies Run. People get how it works, like you're running away from zombies. Not everyone loves it, but the people who do like it, they understand it immediately. And a lot of people really thought, I need this, which was really surprising to me. We had a lot of people email us at first saying they really wanted it on Android, they really wanted it on Windows Phone, because if they didn't have this application, they weren't going to exercise, which blows my mind. It's kind of, we're not responsible for people's exercise, but people were saying, if you don't make this application, like, I'm going to get unfit. And it's like, okay, well, it hasn't come out yet. Like, I hope it's good. And of course, fanatical community interaction. We're a small team. Back when we made this application, there were only about 4 of us. Now there's 15 of us now. And so we had thousands of emails and thousands of, and dozens of interview requests and thousands of tweets. And me and my team, we personally responded to every single one of them. And we wanted our community to realize, okay, we were really invested in this. This was not just something that was going to go away. We were going to make it the best game we possibly could. And so who plays Zombies Run? The majority of Zombies Run players are in the US. We are based in the UK. It's a London-based company. But most of our players are in the US. It's an English language game. So that's why it's mostly in English-speaking countries like the US, UK, Canada, Australia. So most people in North America, not surprising. One thing that is surprising is that we have an almost equal male-female sex split. So most people, when they hear about a game called Zombies Run, they kind of conclude that it's mostly going to be guys playing, because guys like zombies and horror and that sort of thing. That's just not true. Obviously, women like zombies and horror as well. But also, one thing that we found is that women really enjoyed the story and the characterization. I can't stress strongly enough how important the story is to Zombies Run. It's why people have been playing for 5 years. They keep on playing and paying us money for 5 years, because they love the story, they love hearing it. And that's why we got a really great writer, Naomi, to help us with it. And of course, you can see that it's mostly young people, 74% aged 18 to 34. Zombies Run obviously has all the sort of things you'd expect a running app to have. We have an online component. This is a run that I did where I grew up near Liverpool. So you can see how far you run and your pace and all of that. It's nice. And one of the ways that we've kept Zombies Run fresh and up to date, and we've evolved with changing patterns in the App Store, is that we've really lowered the barriers to entry. So back when we launched Zombies Run in 2012, apps were still quite new, and a lot of apps charged money. So you would pay $1, $2, $3, $4 to download the app. And now, of course, if you launch a new app, the vast majority of apps are now free, and the apps that make the most money are now free. All of our competitors are free. Like you can't charge money, for an app if you really want people to try it out and reach a large audience. So we made Zombies Run free to play, and we really streamlined the process of people getting into it. And that's kind of marketing in and of itself. Obviously, if you let people have a sample of the product, have a free trial, then they can figure out whether they like it or not. We have a subscription. Now, that's how most fitness apps monetize. They don't use microtransactions or things like that. They usually use subscriptions, so that's what things like Strava use, home workout apps. We now charge $5 a month or $25 a year. People are fine with that. We have tens of thousands of subscribers, and it's grown by 50% year on year, so we have a really strong subscriber base, and it's a really predictable flow of income for us. It's really important in the app world for utilities and for games to have continuous updates. There's a huge amount of competition out there for people's attention. If you don't keep your application fresh and up to date and able to support things like the Apple Watch, Android Wear, Google Fit, Apple Health, then people will fall away. So that's one way in which we've been able to get a really great reputation for being a great app. So now, if a journalist is writing about the top 5 fitness apps or the top 10 running apps, Zombies Run will almost always be there because it's distinctive and because it keeps on getting updated. It keeps on getting featured on the App Store. I think this is really the most important thing, actually, that I would say, other than the storytelling thing, is that we've turned Zombies Run from product into a service. Right, a product, obviously, is something you pay pretty much. You pay it once. You pay like $5 or $500. And then you, the company, you don't worry about it anymore. Whereas if you make a service, it's something that people are going to be using again and again. They'll subscribe to it. You'll get more return over time. And it means that you can monetize them in different ways. So that's my advice. I think that people don't want throwaway apps anymore. I think they want services. I think that's why you're seeing subscriptions become more popular now. Things like Netflix, Amazon Prime. People want something that they can rely on. So now we've had over 4 million downloads. We have hundreds of thousands of active users every month. We've started broadening what we do with Zombies Run. So one aspect of Zombies Run that's expanded is this idea called virtual races. So let me explain this for a second. A virtual race is like a traditional race in that you pay money to enter it, like a 5K or a 10K. You pay $30, $40, $50 to enter, and you get a medal, and you get a T-shirt, and you get a certificate. But in a virtual race, you can run wherever you are in the world at any time. So it's a lot more convenient. It's a race that you do in a certain time window, and you use a Zombies Run application, and we have a special story behind it. And so for us, obviously, that's great, because we don't have to go through the whole logistical hassle of getting permits and walling off roads and things like that. And for the users, they love getting a news story. They love getting, having a goal and achievement to run for. And so we've had over 15,000 entrants to our virtual races, paying something like an average of $60 each to play. And so it's been a really interesting side of our company that's grown. These are people from our first and second virtual races. Very happy. They've got their medals. If you watch Star Trek, that's Wesley Crusher on the top right. He's a big Zombies Run fan. Looks a bit different now. And so we've expanded our virtual race platform into a way that will help brands and charities market themselves and raise money. So we call it RaceLink. And so what we've done is we've taken the Zombies Run technology and platform, and we've kind of turned it into a technology platform, almost like a white label platform. So now anyone can do their virtual race, right? And it doesn't have to be about zombies. It can be about anything. So we've already done 2 races. One is for the British Science Association. Another one is for Macmillan Cancer Support. They're one of the biggest charities in the UK. So this one was a really fun one that happened in March. This is a race where basically you ran 10 kilometers from the sun to Neptune. So as you pass the first kilometer, you'd hear you're passing Mercury, you're passing Venus, you're passing Earth. And then as you get to the outer planets like Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, you get an idea of actually how big the solar system is. So it's educational, but it's also fun. And so this is a great outreach method for us. We had thousands of entrants to this race around the world. We also made a spy virtual race for Macmillan Cancer Support. This is a really fun adventure where people took the role of a spy as they're running over a 5-kilometer or 10-kilometer distance, and we had people all across the UK participate in this. And of course, we've had our own Zombies Run virtual races, which get thousands of entrants every single time. And we have a new race by Cancer Research UK. They're the biggest medical charity in the UK that takes money from they have like millions of runners every year. So we're really pleased about being able to take the Zombies Run technology and broaden it out to help charities and brands. And so it's sort of come full circle. Zombies Run originally came out of a company that used to do marketing and digital work, turned into a product, turned into a service, and now we're helping companies and brands do marketing and fundraising again. But we don't really lose sight of the fact that behind all of this, we're trying to help people get healthier. So it sounds like it's just a fun, silly app where you run from zombies, but it really is changing people's lives. And that's something that's really important to us. Like, we could make anything. We don't need to make a running app. We don't need to make a zombies app. We could make money in different ways. We can make Candy Crush. But this is really helping people get fit. It's a really important thing, a bit like the fin that we heard about in the last presentation. And so we see here, someone's using our 5K version to recover from Achilles surgery. You know, it's motivating this guy to complete a 5K. I didn't like running until I discovered Zombies Run. That's a really nice, important thing. I think a lot of people don't realize that running is not really fun for a lot of people. Today, I ran for 25 minutes without stopping on March the 1st. I could barely do 15-second drills. I love you all, and thank you. It's very nice. And then some people are really, really effusive. Excluding my wife and daughter, I think Zombies Run might be the best thing that ever happened to me. So, yes, people get really attached to our game. They like the story. They like what it's done for their health. And hope this has been interesting and give you a bit of insight into how to turn a pretty weird idea into something that's made a lot of money and made a lot of people really healthy. Thank you very much.